Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality and lovers of truth, wisdom, and knowledge. Time for another video. It's a nice quiet morning. It's a wee bit warmer than I'd prefer, but there you go. That is the curse of Australian summer for those of us who detest summer. Those of us who have lived most of our lives next to the beach and hated the whole beach culture. The ultimate in ironies. But I've had fun working on my Star Wars channel, the Jedi Riffster, and kind of already dealt with one of the drama whores from the old days, and no surprise really. These people have no sense of self-awareness whatsoever, and their only purpose is to feed their drama addiction. Quite sad really, such a waste of human potential, but there you go. But yeah, referring to the above mentioned information, it was not easy in the 80s, especially back in the 80s when Australia was really quite racist still. Oh no, you can have light-coloured skin and still deal with racism. Oh dear, it's not exclusively reserved for dark-skinned people. Oh no, what shall we do? Those of us who are Hellenes are different races from those from England. Oh no, there's no such thing as a homogeneous white race. Oh no, Americans, what shall we do? Oh, fuck's sake with that shit. You can easily discover how controlled a populace is by how easily they spout these nonsensical buzzwords. Left versus right, conservative versus liberal, black versus white. Only in America are people so fucked up by these propaganda brainwashing mechanisms. It's incredible. Everywhere else in the world, guess what people are doing? Getting on with their lives. So yes, it was not an easy thing going through my high school experience, I have to say, but I give myself full credit looking back in that I did not try to fit in. Why the fuck would I want to fit in with those gobshites, with those pot smoking, surfing gobshites? Scrawny, I might add. Gobshites. It's kind of funny because they only kept it verbal. They never ever went physical, because even back then I still had the size. I was twice their size. Like, it's kind of funny, they look like puny little life coaches. So they never got physical, funnily enough, but during that time, looking back, I did the one thing that I'm exceedingly proud of to this very day. I stayed true to myself. I retained my original Hellenic name instead of the anglicised Steve or Sam, right? I proudly proclaimed where I was born, and proudly proclaimed that I was not born in Australia. They really didn't know what to do with that. But that is what it is. But sort of thinking of that brings me to the point of my video today. And of course listening to one of my favourite bands, Dream Theater. There's a certain song I was listening to, a song I thoroughly enjoyed, called As I Am. And in this world of increasing thought control and totalitarian fuckery and all manner of frippery, in the words of Willy Wonka, it's more important than ever to retain one's own sense of individuality and free thinking. In a world of mandatory masks and joking over the holy hand sanitizer ritual, or on the bus the other day, this clueless old gobshite woman who was handing out face masks to people who didn't have them, or perhaps people who had an exemption. And me being me, I sort of I picked up. I was waiting at the bus stop with her, and I sort of sussed out what she was all about. She was sort of looking at me a little bit uncomfortably, and me being me and having a seriously fucked up right knee, which will only get worse as one gets older. Isn't that wonderful? I got on the bus first. I didn't do the, oh, she's an older female. Oh, that immediately means I have to let her go on first. No. Equality. You want equality? There it is. You're welcome. And just studying people in this world of lockdown, in this world of totalitarian fascism, it's incredible to see how people really don't know how to think for themselves. People don't even know how to investigate something for themselves anymore. They just take in all that the propaganda machine, the mainstream media feeds them, and they mindlessly parrot it, and acting as if they're well informed and intelligent. Funny that. Yes, my brother included. Dear oh dear. But there it is. The need to remove yourself from maybe any form of conformity is more important than ever. The need to discover the length of propaganda that people have been subjected to, especially for the last 60, 70 years, post-World War II, is absolutely astounding. And you see it all the time. Oh, this person disagrees with me, so that means they're an extreme right-wing, fanatic, conservative Trump lover. I'm a poor Hellenic boy living in Australia, in a foreign alien land most of my life. Why? What makes you think I would give a fuck about an American politician? And I've used this example before, I'll use it again. I ask Americans especially, because they're one of the most brainwashed people in the Western world, hell on earth I would imagine would be an individualist living in the US. My thoughts are with you kind of people. I asked them, okay, what immediately springs to mind when I mention the Civil War to you? And of course, 1800s, North versus South, right? And I tell them, you know what springs to my mind? 5th, 4th century BCE, Athens versus Sparta. See the cultural difference there? There's a wonderful thing called cultural perspective. You need to imagine me writing on a blackboard with white chalk. Oh no, white chalk! Racist! Cultural perspective, and underlining it. And it astounds me, in a world where there are those of us who are pagan, heathen, and so on, why the fuck would we want to conserve, and therefore, by implication of the definition of the term, perpetuate an Abrahamic gobshite perspective of God and country and traditional family unit? Why the fuck would we want to perpetuate and keep that going? You're kidding, aren't you? And yet people don't think. They perpetually carry on these propaganda mind control mechanisms. You're not this way. Only a Sith, only a Sith deals in such absolutes. Right? It's astounding. We are complex, multi-layered human beings. We're not a clock on the shelf. We're a simplistic timekeeping mechanism, right? We are complex, multi-layered, multifaceted human beings inhabit infinite awareness, currently inhabiting a meat bag. The meat bag itself is basically irrelevant. It's like saying, okay, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata and focusing on the piano. No, it's usually we're going to focus on the composer and the pianist themselves, aren't we? Unless you're a guitarist in this day and age where the almost exclusive focus is on the kind of gear you have instead of actually fucking learning to fucking play the fucking thing in the fucking first place. That's why really one of the main reasons why I detest the modern online guitar community. They are so fucking obsessed with gear and sounding like somebody. Why don't you fucking discover what your own sound is, you dopey gobshite? So, individuality, accepting yourself, importantly, as you are. Discovering and finding your authentic self. And proudly being that. And accepting that. And showing the world that. Instead of spending all your life trying to sort of suppress your true thoughts, feelings and urges. And sort of trying to do it, most things, quote-unquote, their way, to fit in somehow, or to gain any kind of validation or acceptance for whatever fucked up reason. As I am. And if, yes, there are going to be people who don't like that, well, you can say you can go boil your head. So you need to say that in a slight Irish accent. You need to tell them to go boil their head. It's that simple. It really is that simple. We make it complicated. Our malevolent ego minds make it complicated. I say malevolent ego mind in case you haven't been paying attention in my hundreds of Riff Muggles videos. We have a sense of self, which is all important while we're currently inhabiting meat bags. However, we also have the negative side of ego mind, which I call the malevolent ego mind, because it's obsessed by keeping you trapped, prisoner in a certain sort of state of mind, state of being, state of reality. And it's the little inner critic voice purposely and incessantly telling you you're useless and worthless and this and that, and putting you down in any and every way it can. But the victory, one of the victories, is discovering and proudly proclaiming your authentic self. As I am. Most important. Be well, be safe, be honest to yourself and others, and be authentic. The Mind Traveller on guitar, out.